Welcome, Randy. Thank you so much for appearing on the show today. And I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Yes,
excited to be here.
yes, I'm so excited to share your work. Randy, the work that you're doing is truly amazing, and it's helping a lot of people. And can you share with the viewers a bit about your journey thus far?
My journey, still on the journey.
Yeah.
But my past journey was I grew up in an entertainment family. My father was a famous television producer, my sister an actress, and that was the family biz. It was the world that I grew up in, and there was a lot of glitz and glamour and bigness.
Yes.
Um, and it was ripe for me to be confused. I was confused about the world, who I was, how I fit in. I was an extremely sensitive child, deeply empathic, could really feel other people's emotions and just feel feelings really deeply. And so, yeah, I was thinking about things, even though my family was peaceful. I don't mean that there was unrest there, but it was like I wanted the utmost happiness for people. And it's hard to describe, but I could
Yeah.
feel it in my little body. I wanted everyone to love as deeply as possible and be happy and united and close. And that wasn't just for my family, that was for everyone I met. So it was confusing for me to be around people, people coming in and out of the house and whatnot, where people would say one thing, but they would feel another.
Wow.
Right? The actor, the actress is we put on a face,
Wow.
and we'll say one thing and do one thing, but inside we're feeling something different. And that's confusing as a child.
Wow.
You imagine a baby looking up and they can feel things, and someone's, smiling or saying something, but inside they're in pain or they feel hurt. It's confusing to read that.
Wow.
So I grew up in this world. A lot of it was very fun. Don't get me wrong. I had some fantastical things, extravagant, fantastical things as a child. Got a chance to play in a large house, had plenty of space, no shortage of things. But yeah, I just had this deeper purpose to figure out what was my purpose. What does all this mean? And, this sounds trite, but I knew that money didn't buy happiness. Yet everyone put such a huge emphasis on money and success. So again, another sort of contradiction there.
Yes.
So so I grew up as a teenager. I early on I didn't want to act, and then somewhere around my teen years, I talk about that in my book. It just hit me, and I said I want to be in front of a camera and I want to act. What I really wanted was to connect with people. And back then, 90210, Beverly Hills 90210 was at its biggest. It was very popular, and we went to Las Vegas, and we were all walking as a family in the forum shops of Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
And my sister and my dad were getting mobbed. Now that part to me wasn't exciting. Security guards were around and hundreds of people were lining up.
Yeah.
That was a little bit freaky.
Yeah, probably just totally overwhelming.
Totally overwhelming. Yeah, a lot of people. But I got a chance to stand on the sidelines and watch people's reaction as they talked to my sister and they talked to my father, and some were crying and some just wanted a hug. And I saw the connection between two people that they otherwise, you pass by hundreds, thousands of people every single day.
Right.
And you don't speak to them.
That's right.
And they don't speak to you. And this was a chance for two people to connect and speak and somehow make an impact. To
Wow.
me, even though I look at that now and see that in retrospect, that's what was attractive to me. So I
Right.
said, my mind told me I want to act. I
Yeah.
didn't know this, so
For that reward, but the reward really had nothing to do with the acting itself. It had to do with the
yes,
connection. Wow. Yes, yes. And you write about this in the book, but like you said, and which we'll get to that in a minute because the book is great. Yeah. Yeah. But
sure.
so you, and I think what's interesting about your story is that like getting back to the lavish lifestyle and all that, like you truly are an example of the money doesn't buy happiness type thing. People don't believe that. They won't believe that, but you know that to be true. And in my own experience also, I know that to be true as well. It's an inside job, that happiness and stuff that you're that when you experience that, it has nothing to do with that. If you know
It doesn't. I mean, I want to be realistic here,
right, we're not
right?
going to
Because
say
when everyone just totes
prosper.
money doesn't buy happiness, it doesn't buy happiness.
Right,
What money does afford you is it affords you more choices,
right,
right?
right.
You
Yeah,
could
oh,
get
absolutely.
better, you could get better health care. You
Yeah,
could get better accommodation. You could get better things, right? There are certain
right,
tolerations if your car is breaking down and that's annoying, and right. So there are things that can contribute to your happiness, but on a daily basis, so great. You have everything you need now.
right.
Does that mean that you're automatically going to be happy?
No,
No, it might last temporarily where you feel
right.
that your problems that you used to worry about were solved, but it doesn't mean that you're going to wake up day in and day out and be happy.
Right, right. And you write in the book, your story goes on to say how you kind of hit a rock bottom situation or period in your life, which
Oh, I went through it.
that proof, you know? Yeah,
Yeah, I went through it. So, cut to a few years later after acting and, having some success and making money and all of that. I just kept trying to fill myself. Like, what is going to fulfill me? So I thought, now I'm an actor and I'm doing well. I need to do feature films. If I can break into feature films, I'm
right.
gonna feel it. Did some feature films, didn't feel any differently. I said, you know what? I want to do music. I want to pursue music. I can take my career into my own hands and I can be in control. And so I started an independent record label with a partner of mine named Eric at the time. And, sat behind a desk. And I imagine that's how my dad felt, right? So now I'm the owner of this company and I have a desk and my feet are up on the desk. And
You're the boss.
yep, I'm the
Right.
boss, and I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
some staff underneath me, and
yeah.
that was fun. And it lasted a matter of days, and then there I was again. There, all my problems were, all of the things that I still needed to heal
We're
were
still
right.
there, right?
So I got involved in drugs and alcohol uh, pretty badly. I mean, I won't go into all the stories right
Right,
now
right, right. It's
because
in the book.
I know
Yeah.
we have a lot to go into, and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
that
yeah. No, we'll
is
go.
in
We'll
my book. But
just
I
so
will say
your
this: I
story.
almost died about 5 times. I mean,
Yeah,
literally, my heart stopped beating once or twice. A friend had to revive me. I woke up in a hospital one time.
yeah,
Fire truck another. I mean, it was pretty dark.
yeah.
And my turning point was right around when my father passed away in 2006.
Mhm.
Um, I just hit my knees one night and I said, I don't want this anymore. I really feel in my heart that I'm here for more. I feel that I'm here for a larger purpose than what my life is about right now. If that's true, I don't know how, I don't know what that is. If that's true,
Mhm.
whoever can hear me, help me to make that happen. If it's not, then take me out. I'm done. I don't want to live like this anymore.
Right.
And that set the ball in motion. And, a few weeks later, I got clean. I removed the distractions in my life, and that I set out on a journey of transformation to really change myself and define what success is, what that was for me, what happiness really was, connection, those words that we all hear. But I needed to live that. I needed to live in an authentic way where I felt that I mattered and what I did mattered in my life and made a difference in other people's lives.
Right, right. And so then that brings us to the work that you're doing now, like with your coaching, and you explain how you got there in the book, and it's really wonderful. So, which I'll introduce the book now. I think it's a good time. It's called Unlimiting You: Step Out of Your Past and Into Your Purpose, which is exactly what we were just talking about, exactly what the book, the journey that the book takes you on, the reader on, which I think is amazing. And I really just love the book. I think it's fantastic. And what inspired you to write the book, and also this work that you're doing now?
Well, the work that I'm doing now, 11 years ago, I was looking for something different. I wanted to step out of entertainment for a while. I really needed to find myself, and like I said, really find my purpose. And someone suggested life coaching. At the time, it wasn't popular. Like, not everyone. I mean, nowadays there's a fluff your pillow coach, and there's a how to paint your wall coach, and I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is a coach. And it's kind of amazing to see the evolution of that as a career. But back then, that wasn't a popular term. And so I asked, well, what is life coaching? I said, I think I've heard that term on Oprah. Isn't that for women? And he was a gentleman. He said, well, my wife is a life coach, but it's not just for women. So I did some research, and I said, I'm going to take a course. I'm going to get certified as a life coach and go through real training, because they're good people skills. And whether I become a life coach or not, that's intriguing to me. And I started studying and started learning about it. And then I started just coaching everyone I could. And I fell in love with the craft of it.
Yeah. And probably that connection that you were talking about earlier, that the connection that you desired, that you wanted, the connection.
Yeah. I started helping people really healing stuff from the past and emotions. And I mean, I would say I did deep dive coaching versus just, what's the goal that you want to achieve? Let's just, stop drinking coffee and your life is going to be better.
Right.
That was, coaching is always about reaching goals and achieving things. But early on, I really did some deep work with people. Yeah. And all of my time studying psychology and spirituality and metaphysics and theosophy, all of the amalgamation of that just started coming together in this neat little package of working with so many people and seeing their patterns and behaviors, understanding why things are the way that they are in people's lives. And once they could understand that, they could shift it. So after years of doing this with people, it all started coming together in this wonderful puzzle. And I just fell in love with helping people in that way.
Yes. And you do write about that in your book, like the people that you've worked with. It's just amazing how through almost intuition, the right questions to ask. You like that deep dive or that digging, and exactly. And it's all, I perceive it as being like spirit or guidance, or, the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, that is channeling like through you, that you're helping these people in this way.
Yeah, I don't talk about this that much. Exclusive. No, I'm just kidding.
That's all right.
I don't actually talk about this that much, but since you're bringing it up,
the spirit is channeling it through me.
Right. Oh my goodness. I have not figured out how to turn that off yet. I have this new computer and it keeps ringing on me.
Don't worry.
I haven't talked about this much, but early on, my biggest roadblock, I think, was trusting myself, trusting that I could be of assistance and help guide people, even if I didn't have all the answers, and trusting that information that I may be getting in session. When I'm with someone, I'm so focused on them that I start to hear things and see pictures, and an anecdote will come up, or all of a sudden, a picture of a clock in a mountain will come up. And at first I would just push that away and go, focus, Randy. I since learned through that in years of doing this, that that was coming up specifically for that person. So now I've been able to interpret the information that I'm getting, and I trust that that's needed. And it's been a really fun process of just stepping out of the way and trusting the process. And, 95% of the time, that's right on, and it works really well. And it really is intuition and subconscious, and just letting that come in and help run the session, trusting that there's a divine flow.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I got that impression from the book, from what just what you explained about the sessions and stuff in the book. And I just thought that was amazing. And so the show actually does focus on intuition, and it's called I Knew It, and it has to do, because what happens, even with the spiritual work I do and all this, I have found that when I do not listen to that, what you're describing, I just suffer. I suffer terribly. I make quote wrong choices or that sort of thing. And so I'm going to read a quote actually from your book. I thought just was so perfect, in my opinion, that you write about the guidance, which is also intuition. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And you share that you asked guidance of spirit, or whatever you want to call it, and you said how you say that the guidance comes from our heart chamber space. That's what you call it, heart chamber space. In the book you refer to that somewhere, and I just love that reference. But when you ask for guidance on how to guide people, the spirit or whatever said to you, and this is a quote from your book, it's so beautiful and I think it's so perfect. It said, you write, I am your guide. Trust that I speak through any and all things you perceive. You are loved. Know that I whisper when the need is for silence. I shout when you can't seem to hear very well. I listen when you speak. I am here to support when needed. And then you go on to say that this guidance said to you, there are no wrong turns, only turns that will get you to where you are going more quickly than others. And then it also goes on to say that guidance says, my directions will always lead you in the direction of expanding yourself. And that has to do with trust. And that just almost gives me chills that spirit spoke to me.
It gave me chills too.
Yeah.
So you know what? It gave me chills because I didn't write that. That
Right.
literally, I can't remember exactly, but I think that was one night. So I wrote this book I think 2 weeks after my second daughter was born.
Okay.
I started writing this book. And I would start to write when my wife and I would switch off night shifts. So she would do 4 hours and I would do 4 hours. So I took the first 4 hours at night. So she would sleep and I would be up and the house would be quiet. And I sat at the table, with the little monitor there listening for my daughter. And I would just sit and write. And sometimes I would be so tired that I would go into this trance-like sort of epigogue state. And I would write and, I'd sort of be dozing off and nodding off. But funny enough, when I would come to, there would be things, that's how the title came. There would be things written on there. But this was one of those that, one of those times this came.
Yeah.
And I was confused because, that doesn't always happen. And I wrote and I was like, did I? Writing that? And I started to, analyze it. And I just said, you know what? This has to make it in the book somewhere because that's beautiful. And if I could just trust that and see all things in that way, my life would be better.
Right. Mm-hmm. Amazing. So thank you. And, your work just speaks to me, and I know it could just help so many people. And I understand that, and it's just amazing that you wrote that, because that's like what I aspire to, for people to understand, and so that's why I'm so happy to share your work.
Thank you.
So that's like intuition or the guidance. And so let's explain to people, or if you could just explain to people how people can actually tap into that, that gift of intuition. And I know that, for example, in the book, you know, I guess just getting quiet, like you said, or you have a future self exercise that you describe. And I think that's really cool. And to tap into this, you know, and to listen to what it says. Can you just explain to the viewers a little bit about how they can tap into this?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. There's so many ways.
Yeah.
Right. It's like meditation. When people,
Yes.
everyone thinks of meditation is, you know, folding your legs and going om and putting your feet and hands sort of in the lotus and the mudra. And
Yeah.
that's one way.
Yeah.
But there's infinite ways,
Yeah.
right? You could go on a walk. That's a meditation.
Yes.
You could, I know this might be a little bit sacrilegious here, but you could be on the toilet and have a meditation.
Yeah.
You could be chopping, and that could be a meditation. Everything can be a meditation. Same as with intuition. You know, I want to demystify this so people don't go, well, that's for, you know, the Long Island medium who has gifts and they can talk to the dead. And, you know, I can't do that.
Right.
Well, maybe that's not your purpose in this lifetime to be a medium in that way, but you can absolutely tap into powerful intuition and guidance. And really, that's all we need. If you're meant to be of service in that way, then you will. If you're meant to just reconnect with yourself and be connected to your inner wisdom, then you will.
Right,
You know?
right. And I think that everybody has this ability, whether they really realize it or know it or not. I perceive it to be, you know, a divine gift that we all have this of spirit. Like we all have the access to it. We just might not realize it. And
yeah, I believe that we're sending and receiving information all the time.
yes,
We are computers, essentially. We're energetic computers, and we are sending and receiving all the time. I mean, have you ever walked into a room, for all of you guys listening, and you're doubting, going, oh, I can't do that, or that's not me. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something? You're automatically, your antennae are up, and you're sending and receiving and feeling out all the time. As kids, right? In our family, we are, I mean, if you watch kids, the second they do something wrong, or they have a perception that someone's going to be unhappy, watch their eyes.
Right. They get that look. Yeah.
Right? They're always feeling before they even know, and it's quick. It's at the snap of a finger. So we are always sending and receiving information. It's how aware are we at the time we're doing it. So really, it's not that you're not intuitive. You're already intuitive. Everyone already intuitive. It's becoming aware that you are intuitive.
Exactly. And I think your book does a great job on explaining the ways to tap into that, or, you know, and the benefits of it and everything else, because really the answers are within you. But like sometimes you can, there's outward signs, you know, for instance, you mentioned about your move to Oregon, right? And all that, like that was all kind of, well, it's in the book, but it's just amazing. But the answers are there, and they're inside, and anyone can tap into it.
Yeah, so I wanted to make that point before answering your question about how.
Yes.
Right? Because I can give 10 ways of how to do. Here's top 10 ways. This is a perfect blog, right? A perfect marketing blog. Top 10 ways that you could tap into your intuition now. But that does no good if someone has the belief, I'm not intuitive, that's not for me, I can't do it. So I wanted to talk about the belief that needs to change first.
Yes.
Then, you know, some of the ways are writing.
Yes.
Ask a question and let yourself write an answer. Write the question, you know, what should I do? Blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. Let yourself write. Take a deep breath, calm yourself, and just write. And even if you think you're writing from your thoughts, just keep writing and see what comes. sometimes, is it Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You know, she talks about morning pages, and sometimes you have to write a page to get your stream of consciousness out before
Right.
it shifts into your subconscious writing. So, just keep writing. Writing is good. Quieting yourself, meditating and asking. And sometimes, we're in this time construct thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think, okay, I'm going to ask and I should hear an answer. What is it? And too many people stop if they don't hear an answer. The biggest key to unlocking the door of intuition is trust.
Yeah.
Trust that if you ask a question and you continue to ask, you will get an answer.
Yeah.
Period.
And the word that comes to mind also is patience with that, like just because it doesn't come right away doesn't mean it's not coming, or it just in ways that you can understand or something, it could be in phases or whatever the answer. But
And this is hard, Maryann. In this day where everything is at the snap of a finger, right? You
Yeah.
Google, you get an answer. You need
Yeah.
something, you get this instant gratification. What we don't know is maybe you're not meant to get an answer right away. Maybe you're meant to get an answer 2 days later, because if you went with your first answer, it wouldn't do you service.
Right.
So maybe the pause or the delayed answer that you're looking for, there's a intentional delay because it's part of your program. It's part of what you'll need to get the answer that you wind up doing. But
Right.
if you just are too impatient and you rush it, you're going to likely go with something that your mind is telling you, that your head is telling you. And
Yeah.
that's going to be based on anxiety. Sometimes it's going to be based on the past and trying to keep yourself safe because you want to avoid what could happen. So you're trying to rush the process.
Yeah. Yes.
And that may not be to your highest benefit.
Right. So just trust, like you said, that's a big, big part of it. Yeah.
Trust that if you ask a question,
Yes.
and I don't mean, will I get $100,000 in a month? And
Right.
wait for an answer. Ask a question and feel it in your heart. Ask sincerely. Ask from a place where you really mean this and you mean business and you really want to know, and it's from a pure place. Ask from that place. And then trust that if you don't hear a message, stay open to the fact that you might dream an answer. You might wake up and you'll have this quick little thought, and that thought will be your answer.
Yes. Yes.
Your coworker might randomly say something, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss, but it could be the answer that you were looking for. That messages will come through other people or in other ways. You just have to trust. Stay open to looking for the answer because it will come.
Yes. Yes. I love it. That's so true and just so powerful. Yes. Thank you for that. So we're actually almost out of time, and this has been an incredible conversation. I could speak to you for hours, I think.
I know, it's fun.
With whatever but we were focusing kind of on intuition, but just such
it's fun to talk about this subject. There's so much, and it's one of those things that floats all in the etheric realm, and it's like if we could get more context and more grounded with it, it actually becomes more simple than it has to be.
Right.
The one last thing I want to say, forgive me.
I was going to ask you just what did you want to say?
The one last thing I want to say is this is a muscle. This is a muscle, and this isn't for everyone who tries this once and it's like, oh, I didn't get an answer.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
To build up the muscle of trusting and listening and being aware.
Yes.
Just practice with everything, and it will happen some sooner, some, you know, a little bit later, but it will happen.
Right, right. Amazing. Yes. Thank you for that encouragement. That's amazing. So, I wanted to ask you if you could just tell people how they can connect with you or find information on the work that you're doing, just, you know, social media.
Sure.
You better.
Yeah, on my website, randyspelling.com, a whole bunch of information about programs I have, you know, coaching, different things that I offer, a lot of great free tools that people could take advantage of. I have some fun worksheets and handouts and things that will really help to make a difference in someone's daily life. I also, on social media, Instagram is @RandySpelling. There's a fun new web series I'm doing called Evolving Guys, which you can find on Instagram, and Facebook is Randy Spelling Coaching. It's my Facebook page. So those are the ways to get in touch with me. And something that I wanted to mention that I'm really excited about is I've been running this group called the Freedom Blueprint. And it's this coaching program that it's my most affordable one. And it's 6 months of modules and videos, and I'm leading it. So I'm live coaching people too. And there's a private Facebook group, but I'm super excited because out of my 10 plus years of doing this work, I sort of distilled it into 6 ways that people can get more freedom in their lives.
Yes.
And, you know, they're the 6 C's of freedom. And it starts with how you can go about getting the utmost clarity, which is so essential. Like, what do you really want? Before just trying to race to it, what do you want? What's the purpose of what you want? And of course, I bring some spiritual tools to this. Yeah. We work on confidence. We work on changing your mindset and thoughts. We work on connection, daily habits. So all of these ways that people can become more free and actually achieve the type of success they want. And I've watched this with people. I mean, people have lost 30 pounds. People have switched careers. They've gotten promotions. They made a whole bunch more money. They have, you know, started to feel so much more happy, from being depressed to happy to less anxious. I mean, this is what I live for. So when I see these results happening, it's super exciting. So I'm starting another one in mid-January for 2019 to help people with their intentions and their goals for the year. So anyone who's interested in that, definitely go and you know, check that out.
Yes, yes. Well, that just sounds amazing. So yes, thank you for that work. Well, thank you so much, Randy. This has just been a great show, and such a blessing
for having me
to speak to you. And just continued blessings to you and your family and everybody. Thank you so much. Just continued blessings in the work that you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you, Maryann, for doing the work that you do in the world and getting it out there to people.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes.
Bye.